I've never heard of a more elitist statement than what the PM said, that formal education will make you a living and creative education will make you a fortune. So blissfully unaware of the risks and consequences of a full commitment to a creative career like the children in their counterfactual. Opposition agrees that children who desire to pursue creative skills and careers deserve to be treated especially, and maybe that desk job career is not for them. But we disagree that as a parent, your role is to accept everything your child wants. We believe that not only parents' role is to be a voice of reason and rationalize with their children, but that a formal education is a much better path to creative career than self-taught online skills. That is our stance as opposition. Under opposition's world, instead of fully exporting a digital career, we would rationalize and discuss with our children and understand their reasoning, but make them use a formal education, and then after their graduation, if they wish to pursue creative career jobs, they're allowed to. What this debate should then be about is what a middle-class parent role is: to fully encourage your children blindly, or to reason with them and lead them to a safer path. Opposition believes that safety is the key unique distinction of a middle-class family. What will happen then in government's world the moment their child fails their creative career skills? All that blame is on the parent who's blindly supported their ambitions. You lose your relationship with their children. That is the reality. Government risks all for the sake of fortune. Three points of framing before I move on to my main argument. Firstly, government takes a half stance in this debate that you cannot say that children under your world will drop out to pursue part-time jobs the moment that a middle-class family is trapped as soon as they enter college. Not only would you lose the money you've invested into college courses, you don't gain the benefits of college, and the record of a dropout will harm your career. Most probably, children under their side will fully commit into an online education without college. Second piece of framing, very privileged coming from government to think that middle-class families have constantly stable income. While in the short term they do have that stability, due to increase of inflation, the gap of middle and high class, harsher job markets means that this middle-class status is fleeting. The moment you fail your creative job under their side and you have no other prospect, it's so easy to fall into the lower class group. So no, government can't say there's no risk in trying. That's very elitist. Third point of framing, disappointing coming from government side to not at all talk about the flaws of formal education, but even if they were to bring it up, middle class houses are able to pay for decent public college, maybe not the private like Harvard, and scholarships do exist, so it can be reasoned that all middle class families have access to this formal education. Before I move on to my main arguments, I want to rebut a point within government. They say that the monotonous college routine will make the lives of creative children hell. Firstly, it's not true because colleges have tried to cater to the creative needs of the children. Through communication classes, business, arts, and creativity, many other creativity classes, they've tried to adjust their curriculum to help and to fulfill their creative needs, so that will help these children. But even secondly, even if the college life is boring, they're able to fulfill their creative needs by using external outlets. You can make an art account, online music producing account, etc. So there is no big issue there. But thirdly, and more crucially, a government never explained to you why the process of learning, perhaps 3 to 4 years, is more significant to the rest of your life. Under their side, if you fail your career after your learning process, that's so much worse, especially when government never addressed the likelihood of a creative skill using Google or like online lessons, etc. Opposition will be the only side to characterize the likelihoods of creative career, and why under our side it's so much more likely. Two arguments then in my speech: why parents need to be a voice of reason for children, and secondly, how a formal education gives you a much better and safer starting point for a career in creative skills. First argument, why proper parenthood means to reason with your children's choices. They say that parents need to protect the choice and agency of their children. Recognize what they're really trying to say here. If your child tells you they want to become the next YouTube star, you go all the way. You support them, you pay for their YouTube lessons, esport lessons, or whatever, but that is completely against the role of a parent. Let's build up opposition's argument. Why is the choice of these children irrational to begin with? Firstly, you don't have, recognize this is my first layer, you don't have the full awareness of what you want. A YouTuber or a TikToker may tell you that they're so happy and so rich, but in reality, the industry is so much more stressful. You're stressing about preserving your career long term, your happiness is gone when people constantly give you negative comments, you're being cheated out by brands, so these people aren't exactly rich and happy. But secondly, exactly because the potential wealth is so big, you don't think rationally of the likelihood of failure. One millionaire YouTuber makes the child disregard thousands who's failed and did not get money. So what this layer tells you, these children aren't fully aware of the consequences and risks of what they want, and they are not making a rational choice. Thus then, a parent's role is to rationalize and tell them the risks and make them aware. That is why letting them pursue this formal education will lead to the discussion, because of course the child will first object. But this healthy discussion within parents and children is how we fulfill the best form of our parental role. Moving on my second layer in this argument, even if these children will pursue a creative career anyways, why is it better under our side? Firstly, we're not limiting their choice to pursue in the future. They can become a creative writer, etc. after they graduate college. And even in my second argument, I'll tell you why it's much better under our side. But secondly, a parent must be aware of the likelihood of failure. By talking about the pros and cons, that's how you get your children to make good choices they're proud of, in the sense that you can't have them making bad choices when your resources are limited as a middle class. So when government says that it's about protecting a child's agency, they let them try and fail and try again. No, that you can't do that. You don't have the fortune to try again as a middle class family. No offense to anyone, but not everyone are rich trust fund kids with daddies who will pay for their lavish lifestyles and buy them AirPod Maxes if your YouTube career fails. Under their counterfactual, the risks of failure is so much more harmful when the kids fail and they don't have enough money to try another career or a safety net again. They will blame the parents who's blindly supported them through these ambitions. You will have a much more strained relationship as a parent with your children, leading to a parental failure under their side. This argument tells you one thing: opposition is the side who will fulfill the needs of parenting much better than opposition. Moving on to my second argument then, why is the pursuit of formal education the best path to getting a job in the creative industry? They say that the job market is somehow changing into a creative industry. Okay, let's take them in the best case that these kids want creative jobs and there's much more demand for that. They never explain to you the likelihood of why taking online classes will somehow lead to these jobs wanting these children. Opposition will be the side. So let's understand what's happening in the status quo. The career industry is shifting to a creativity-oriented industry, but the competition is inherently unfair. Exactly a creative skill, which is subjective, leads to, for example, the CEO choosing his son to become the new art director. They're choosing their friends to become the new media manager, because to go into this industry, it's so much harder when you go without proper qualifications. The moment that your skills are subjectively judged against others with more advantages. Then under their side it's much less likely, but then under our side, how does the college system give you the objective evidence of your skills to survive the job seeking within this industry? Firstly, academic support. This can look like colleges giving you a streamlined system. You make your research papers, you can have college support to apply to internships, you have experiments, research papers to prove and to build up your resume so the jobs will take you seriously. But even if the support isn't enough, the connections you make with other prospects in colleges lets you have that edge through connections. You can get the job, you can have the same job in corporation your friend works in, help startups with people who knows you and each other, or even the companies knowing you directly through the colleges. Under opposition side, this goal of making, under government side, the goal of making a name for yourself is so much harder the moment you take, like they said, the courses and online courses that society perceives as less meaningful. Under our side, we're much more likely to achieve a long-term successful creativity career the moment you are able to show these corporations you have your internship experiences, your art portfolio signed by your professors, your degree even, or even help from your friends and your connections with each other. But even in the very worst case of failure, which is equally likely, like government said, that both like job market is so competitive, it's all up and down. Under our side, you have the very least the safety net of a stable desk job using your communication, English, or whatever degree you choose, because the companies will at the very least accept that. Under their side, under government side, the moment you fail your creative career and skills, you have no safety net, you have no money or further investment for an education. When all of that is spent on online classes, it's much harder to bounce back from failure as a middle class. That is a key misconception under government side. Government will understand that government wants their children to follow their mindless dreams and fail. Under opposition sides, we are the only side who will create a safe career path for our children, fulfilling our duty as a parent and a long-lasting relationship with our children. So proud to oppose.